7 days after I buried my husband, his mama threw me out like yesterday's trash, standing on the porch of the home I'd lived in for 25 years, watching Dorothy Davis hand my clothes to her daughter in garbage bags. My Sunday dresses, my photo albums, everything Darnell and I had built together. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was hearing Tamika laugh. That high-pitched cackle that cut through the humid Atlanta air like a knife. Because while I stood there with nothing, they were inside dividing up what they thought was theirs. And they had no idea what Darnell had really left behind. Before we continue, please comment below, as I'd love to hear your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel to help us hit that big 1,000 subscriber milestone. Let me take you back to where this all started. 2 weeks before that moment on the porch, back to the day we laid Darnell to rest, the church was packed. Mount Zion Baptist held 500 people, and every seat was filled. Folks from the neighborhood, people from Darnell's construction company, deacons and church mothers in their finest black. The choir sang, "Precious Lord, so beautiful it made your soul ache." I sat in the front pew, numb. My husband of 25 years was gone. Heart attack at 55. No warning. Just gone. Dorothy sat next to me, dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief. Tamika sat on her other side, wearing dark sunglasses even though we were inside. They played their parts well. The grieving mother, the devastated sister. But I knew better. I'd known Darnell since we were kids in the same neighborhood. We grew up in the same church. His family never thought I was good enough. Never mind that I worked 2 jobs to help him build his construction business from nothing. Never mind that I stood by him through the lean years when we ate rice and beans 4 days a week. Never mind that I was there at 3 in the morning when he couldn't sleep, worrying about making payroll. To Dorothy, I was just the girl from the poor side of the neighborhood who trapped her son. To Tamika, I was the obstacle between her and the family money. After the funeral, people came back to the house. Our house. The brick ranch we'd saved for years to buy. Dorothy played hostess like she owned the place. Tamika directed people to the food spread, accepting condolences like she was the widow. I stayed in the kitchen, making sure everyone had enough to eat. That's what you do. That's what Darnell would have wanted. Sister Evelyn Williams from church pulled me aside. "Baby, you holding up okay?" Her eyes were full of concern. "I'm managing," I said, "taking it one day at a time. You let me know if you need anything at all." She squeezed my hand. "The Lord don't put more on us than we can bear." I nodded, but I wasn't so sure about that anymore. The next few days were a blur. People stopped bringing casseroles. The phone stopped ringing. The house got quiet. Too quiet. I wandered through rooms that still smelled like Darnell's cologne. His coffee cup still sat by the sink, his reading glasses on the nightstand. Everywhere I looked, he was there. Except he wasn't. On the 5th day, Dorothy and Tamika showed up at my door. I should have known something was wrong by the way they walked in without knocking, like they owned the place. "Rochelle, we need to talk," Dorothy said. She settled herself on my couch like a queen on a throne. Tamika stood behind her, arms crossed. "What's this about?" I asked. Dorothy pulled out a folder. "It's about Darnell's will." My stomach dropped. We'd made wills years ago. Simple ones. Everything to each other. That's what married people do. "Darnell left the house and the business to me and Tamika," Dorothy said. Her voice was flat. Matter of fact, like she was reading a grocery list. "That's not possible," I said. "We have wills. Everything goes to me." Tamika smirked. "Mama has the new will, dated 6 months ago, signed and notarized." "Let me see it." Dorothy handed me the papers. I read through them, my hands shaking. The words swam on the page. The house, the construction company, the cars, the bank accounts, all of it left to Dorothy Davis and Tamika Warren. My name appeared exactly once, in a single line at the end. "To my wife, Rochelle, I leave the property at 1247 Hollow Creek Road in Pinewood, Georgia. I looked up. What is this? That old shack? Tamika laughed. Girl, that's the property Darnell bought years ago. Said he was going to flip it. Never did nothing with it. Place is falling apart. Roof caved in, no running water, middle of nowhere. My chest felt tight. 25 years. And this is what he left me? A falling down shack in the middle of nowhere? But that wasn't even the shocking part. You have 7 days to remove your personal belongings from this house, Dorothy said. She stood up, smoothing her dress. After that, anything left becomes property of the estate. 7 days? My voice cracked. Dorothy, I just buried your son, my husband. You're putting me out? Business is business, Rochelle. This house is worth money. We need to sell it to settle debts. What debts? The business is doing fine. Darnell told you what you needed to hear. Tamika cut in. The business has been struggling for years. Loans, credit lines. It's all in the paperwork. We need to liquidate everything to stay afloat. They left me sitting there in the living room. Their living room now. My world crumbled around me. Everything I thought I knew was a lie. I called Darnell's lawyer the next day, the one who'd done our wills years ago. He confirmed it. A new will, filed 6 months ago, signed by Darnell, witnessed and notarized, legal in every way. But why? I asked. Why would he do this? I don't know, Mrs. Davis. I didn't prepare this document. He must have used someone else. Someone else. Darnell had gone to someone else, planned this, hidden it from me, after everything we'd been through together. I spent the next 6 days packing my life into boxes. Dorothy and Tamika came by twice to check on my progress. They didn't offer to help, they just watched, making sure I didn't take anything that belonged to the estate. On the 7th day, I loaded the last box into my old Honda. The car Darnell had wanted to replace, but I'd said was fine. Now I was grateful for that old car. At least it was mine. Sister Evelyn came over as I was loading up. Where you gonna go, baby? I guess I'm going to Pinewood, I said. To that property Darnell left me. She hugged me tight. You call me when you get there. Let me know you're safe. I drove away from that house without looking back. Couldn't bear to see Dorothy and Tamika celebrating on the porch. Couldn't bear to see my life disappearing in the rear-view mirror. Pinewood was 3 hours north. Small town, population maybe 500. The kind of place where everybody knows everybody, where nothing ever happens. I followed the GPS down increasingly narrow roads. Paved road became gravel. Gravel became dirt. Trees pressed in on both sides. I started to wonder if I'd made a wrong turn. Then I saw it. The shack sat in a clearing surrounded by overgrown weeds. Tamika wasn't lying. The roof had partially caved in. Windows were broken. The porch sagged like a tired old man. Paint peeled off in long strips. It looked like nobody had been here in years. This was it. This was what Darnell left me. My inheritance after 25 years of marriage. I sat in the car and cried. Not the pretty kind of crying. The ugly kind. The kind that comes from somewhere deep in your soul. The kind that shakes your whole body. When I was done, I wiped my face and got out of the car. The sun was setting. I needed to see if I could even get inside this place. The front door was unlocked. It creaked open like something from a horror movie. Inside was worse than outside. Dust everywhere, furniture covered in mold, holes in the floor. A family of possums had made a nest in the corner. I was about to turn around and leave, drive to a motel, figure out my next move in the morning. But something caught my eye. In the corner of what used to be the living room, there was a door. A new door. Clean. Out of place in all this decay. I walked over to it, my heart pounding. The door had a keypad lock. Digital, modern, the kind that needed a code. Why would someone put a high-tech lock on a door in an abandoned shack? I tried Darnell's birthday. Nothing. Our anniversary. Nothing. My birthday. Nothing. Then I tried the date we first met. October 17th, 1985. The lock clicked open. Behind the door was a small room. Clean. Climate-controlled. And in the center of the room sat a safe. I stood in that climate-controlled room, staring at the safe. My husband had been dead for 2 weeks. His family had thrown me out. And now I was in an abandoned shack 3 hours from home, looking at a safe that shouldn't exist. The safe was the size of a small refrigerator. Black. Heavy. The kind you see in banks. But what made my blood run cold was the keypad on the front. Same digital display as the door. Same modern technology in a house that was supposed to be forgotten. Darnell had planned this. Every single detail. My hands shook as I reached for the keypad. I tried our meeting date again. October 17th, 1985. The safe beeped twice. Wrong code. Think, Rochelle. Think. I tried the date we got married. May 22nd, 1999. Another beep. Wrong. The date Darnell started his business. The date we bought our first house. The date his father died. Nothing worked. I sat down on the clean floor of that room, surrounded by the decay of the rest of the house. What was Darnell trying to tell me? Why all this secrecy? Why the elaborate setup? Then it hit me. The date Darnell proposed. Not our wedding date. The proposal. It was different. Special. He'd taken me to Stone Mountain. We'd watched the sunset. He got down on one knee right there on that rock. September 3rd, 1998. I punched in the numbers. 090398. The safe clicked. The door swung open. Inside were 3 things. A manila envelope, a smaller sealed envelope, and a leather folder. I opened the manila envelope first. Documents. Legal papers. Deeds. Financial statements. I spread them out on the floor, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Property deeds for buildings in London. Business incorporation papers for something called Davis International Holdings. Bank statements showing accounts in my name. My name. Not Darnell's, not Dorothy's, mine. The numbers didn't make sense. They couldn't be right. Millions, tens of millions. All in accounts I'd never heard of. But that wasn't even the most shocking part. I opened the smaller envelope. Inside was a first-class plane ticket. British Airways, Atlanta to London Heathrow. Tomorrow's date, my name on the ticket, and a handwritten note in Darnell's handwriting. My love, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you while I was alive. It was safer this way. The ticket is for tomorrow. Use it. Walter Harrison will meet you at the airport. Trust him. Trust no one else. Everything I built for you. The shack was just the first step. Getting you away from them was the second. Take the leather folder. It has everything you need. I love you more than words can say. Always have. Always will. Your husband, Darnell. I read the note 3 times, 4 times. The words didn't change. Darnell had known. He'd known his mother and sister would try to take everything. He'd known and he'd planned for it. The leather folder contained more documents, partnership agreements, contracts, financial reports, and a letter from Walter Harrison, attorney at law, explaining that I was the sole owner of Davis International Holdings, a company with operations in London, Dubai, and Singapore. Real estate, import-export, consulting, all completely separate from the construction company in Atlanta. My husband had built an empire, and he'd kept it secret from everyone, including me. I sat in that room until the sun came up, reading through every document. Understanding slowly dawned. The construction company back home? That was the decoy. That was what Dorothy and Tamika could see, could covet, could fight over. The real wealth was hidden, protected, untouchable. And the debt? I read through the incorporation papers for the Atlanta business. Darnell had restructured it 6 months ago, taken out massive loans against the company and the house, put everything in his mother's and sister's names. They thought they were inheriting assets, but all they were really getting was debt. Beautiful, crushing debt. My husband had set a trap, and they'd walked right into it. I thought about Dorothy's face when she handed me those papers, so smug, so certain she'd won. I thought about Tamika's laugh, that cruel cackle. They had no idea. Part of me wanted to call them right then, tell them the truth, watch their world crumble the way mine had. But Darnell's note said to trust no one, only Walter Harrison. So I packed the documents back in the folder, locked the safe, and walked out of that shack. The ticket was for a 3 p.m. MADS flight. I had 12 hours. I drove back toward Atlanta, but I didn't go home. Couldn't go home. That wasn't my home anymore. Instead, I checked into a motel near the airport. Showered, changed into the nicest clothes I'd packed. A navy dress Darnell had always loved, pearl earrings he'd given me for our 20th anniversary. I thought about calling Sister Evelyn, letting her know I was okay. But what would I say? That my dead husband had a secret international business empire? That I was flying to London in a few hours? It sounded crazy even in my own head. Meanwhile, back in Atlanta, Dorothy and Tamika were celebrating. I know because Tamika posted it on Facebook. I saw it while I was waiting at the airport. A photo of her and Dorothy standing in front of the house. My house. Their house now. The caption read, "New chapter. Mama and I are ready to take the Davis legacy to the next level. Out with the old, in with the new." Comments rolled in, friends congratulating them, asking about the business, praising their strength during this difficult time. No one mentioned me. It was like I'd never existed. I sat in the airport lounge, sipping coffee I couldn't taste, watching people rush past. Businessmen with briefcases, families with crying babies, college kids with backpacks. Everyone had somewhere to go, someone to be. Who was I? Not a wife anymore, not a homeowner, not part of a family, just a woman with a plane ticket and a leather folder full of impossible documents. The flight attendant called for first-class boarding. I'd never flown first class in my life. Darnell and I always flew economy when we traveled, saved money where we could. But here I was, walking past everyone else, settling into a seat that was bigger than my first apartment. The flight was 8 hours. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't stop thinking about Darnell. Why didn't he tell me? Why all the secrecy? We were partners. We told each other everything. Or so I thought. The man next to me tried to make conversation. Some executive type, wanted to know if I was traveling for business or pleasure. Family business, I said. It wasn't quite a lie. He talked about himself for 20 minutes before giving up on me. I was grateful when he finally put in his earbuds and left me alone. London Heathrow was massive, overwhelming, signs in multiple languages, people from everywhere. I followed the crowd to baggage claim, then to customs. The officer looked at my passport. "Purpose of your visit?" "Meeting a lawyer," I said. He stamped my passport and waved me through. I walked into the arrivals hall, searching for Walter Harrison. Darnell's note said he'd meet me at the airport, but I had no idea what he looked like. Then I saw the sign, a professional-looking black man in his 60s, holding a placard with my name. "Mrs. Rochelle Davis." I walked over. "I'm Rochelle." He smiled. Warm, professional. "Mrs. Davis, I'm Walter Harrison. Welcome to London. I'm so sorry for your loss." "Thank you." "We have a lot to discuss," he said. "But first, let's get you settled. I have a car waiting." We walked to the parking garage. The car was a Mercedes, black, sleek, nothing like my old Honda back in Atlanta. As we drove through London streets, Walter started talking. "I've been your husband's attorney for 15 years, Mrs. Davis. He was an extraordinary man, brilliant, strategic, and he loved you more than anything in this world." Why didn't he tell me? The question burst out before I could stop it. Why all the secrets? Walter glanced at me in the rearview mirror. He was protecting you. Your mother-in-law and sister-in-law had been pressuring him for years, demanding control of the business, threatening lawsuits. He knew that if anything happened to him, they'd come after everything. So he built something they couldn't touch, something they didn't even know existed. The debt, I said. The loans he took out. That was intentional. Very intentional. They inherit a company that's leveraged to the hilt. The house is mortgaged beyond its value. The cars are leased. The bank accounts are empty. Everything of real value is here, in London, and it all belongs to you. We pulled up to a building in Mayfair. Luxury apartments, doorman, marble lobby. This is your building, Walter said. Darnell bought the entire property 3 years ago. The penthouse is yours. The other units generate rental income, quite substantial rental income. The elevator rose silently to the top floor. The doors opened directly into the penthouse, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Hyde Park. Modern furniture, art on the walls. A kitchen bigger than my entire house back in Atlanta. I don't understand, I said. How did he afford all this? That's what I need to explain, Walter said. He opened his briefcase and pulled out more documents. Your husband was a genius, Mrs. Davis. He started with one small property investment in London 15 years ago. Flipped it, invested the profits, built it slowly, carefully. By the time he died, Davis International Holdings was worth over £50 million. That's about $65 million. The room spun. $65 million? And it's all yours, Walter continued. Completely debt-free. He structured everything so that it's protected, untouchable. The Atlanta business? That was the sacrifice. He let them have it, knowing it was worthless. Knowing they'd destroy themselves fighting over scraps while you were here. Safe. Secure. Free. I sank into a chair. 25 years. Darnell and I had been married for 25 years. And I never knew. Never suspected. There's one more thing, Walter said. He pulled out a final document. Tomorrow morning, we have a meeting. The board of directors. They're expecting you. You're the CEO now, Mrs. Davis. This is your company. I stood in that London penthouse looking out over Hyde Park, and for the first time in 2 weeks, I could breathe. Walter Harrison had just told me I owned a $65 million empire, that Darnell had spent 15 years building me a fortress his family couldn't touch, that I was the CEO of an international company. But here's what Walter didn't know yet. Here's what nobody knew. Back in Atlanta, Dorothy and Tamika's celebration was about to become a funeral, because the creditors were coming. And they were coming today. I slept in the penthouse that night. Real sleep. The kind I hadn't had since Darnell died. When I woke up, London's sunlight streamed through those massive windows. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then it all came rushing back. My phone had 17 missed calls, all from Atlanta numbers I didn't recognize. 3 voicemails. I listened to the first one. Mrs. Davis, this is Raymond Thompson from First National Bank. We need to discuss the Davis construction accounts immediately. Please return this call. The second voicemail was similar. Different bank. Same urgent tone. The third was from Dorothy. Her voice was shaking. Rochelle, where are you? We need to talk. Call me back. It's important. I deleted all 3 messages. Walter arrived at 9 with coffee and pastries. Ready for your first board meeting? As ready as I'll ever be. The Davis International Holdings office was 10 minutes away. Modern building, glass and steel. Nothing like Darnell's modest construction office back home. We rode the elevator to the 12th floor. The conference room held 8 people. 4 men, 4 women, all dressed professionally, all looking at me with curiosity and respect. Walter made introductions. These were the people who'd been running the company. The CFO, the operations manager, the property directors, people Darnell had carefully selected over the years. "Mrs. Davis," the CFO said. Her name was Patricia Edwards, British accent, sharp eyes. "First, let me say how sorry we are for your loss. Darnell was extraordinary. He spoke of you constantly." "Thank you." "He prepared us for this transition," Patricia continued. "Everything is in order. The company is strong. We're here to support you in whatever capacity you need." They spent 2 hours walking me through everything: the properties, the investments, the partnerships. It was overwhelming, but it was also real. This wasn't a dream. This was my life now. After the meeting, Walter took me to lunch, a quiet restaurant near the office. We sat by the window. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Honestly, I don't know. This is all so much." "You don't have to make any decisions today, or this week, or even this month. The company runs itself. You can take all the time you need to adjust." But that wasn't even what I was thinking about. "What's happening back in Atlanta?" I asked. "With Dorothy and Tamika?" Walter's expression shifted, became more serious. "I received some calls this morning from associates in Atlanta. It seems the creditors are moving faster than expected." "Tell me." 3 banks filed liens against the house yesterday. The construction company accounts have been frozen, and there's more. Darnell structured the loans so that they came due 30 days after his death. That's today. My coffee cup stopped halfway to my mouth. "Today? Your mother-in-law and sister-in-law are jointly liable for approximately $2.3 million, due immediately, and from what I understand, they have no way to pay." $2.3 million. Darnell had left them with $2.3 million in debt. What happens if they can't pay? The banks will seize everything: the house, the business assets, their personal property, cars, jewelry, everything. I should have felt satisfied, vindicated. They'd thrown me out, mocked me, celebrated my loss. Now they were getting exactly what they deserved. But all I felt was empty. My phone rang. Dorothy again. This time I answered. "Rochelle!" Her voice was desperate, panicked, nothing like the cold woman who'd evicted me. "Rochelle, where are you? We need your help. The banks are saying we owe millions. They're taking everything, the house, the cars. They're taking everything." "I know," I said calmly. "You know? How do you know? Rochelle, please. We made a mistake. We shouldn't have been so harsh. But we're family. You have to help us." "Family," I repeated. The word tasted bitter. "Like when you threw me out 7 days after I buried my husband? Like when Tamika laughed while packing my life into garbage bags? That kind of family?" "We were wrong. I admit it. But please, we're losing everything. There has to be something. Some account we don't know about. Some way to fix this." "There is something," I said. "There's quite a lot, actually, but it's not yours. It was never yours." Darnell made sure of that. Silence on the other end, then understanding. "You knew. You knew about the debt." "I know about everything, Dorothy. The international company, the properties, the accounts, all of it. Darnell spent 15 years building something beautiful, and he left every penny of it to me. The only thing he left you was exactly what you deserved. You can't do this. We're his family." "No," I said. "I was his family. You were just people who shared his blood. There's a difference." I hung up. Walter was watching me carefully. "Are you all right?" "I think so." But I wasn't. Not really. Because there was still something bothering me. Something that didn't add up. "Walter, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest." "Of course." "Darnell's heart attack. How did it happen?" Walter's face changed. Became guarded. He collapsed at the construction office. The paramedics said it was sudden. Massive coronary event. But he was healthy, He exercised, watched his diet. We both did. Sometimes these things just happen, Mrs. Davis. Walter, the truth. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached into his briefcase and pulled out another envelope. Darnell left this for you. He said you'd know when to ask for it. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a medical report. And a letter. The medical report was from 6 months ago. Advanced heart disease. Genetic condition. Inoperable. The doctors gave him less than a year. Darnell had known he was dying. The letter explained everything. My dearest Rochelle, by the time you read this, you'll know the truth. I've known for 6 months that my heart was failing. The doctors said there was nothing they could do. I had maybe a year, maybe less. I didn't tell you because I couldn't bear to watch you suffer. Couldn't bear to watch you sacrifice everything to take care of me. You've spent our whole marriage taking care of me, supporting me, building me up. This was my chance to take care of you. I knew what my mother and sister would do when I died. I'd known for years. They'd been pressuring me to sign over the business, to put them on accounts, to give them control. They didn't care about me. They cared about money. So I gave them exactly what they wanted. A company, a house, assets. All on paper. All worthless in reality. And while they were fighting over scraps, I made sure you were protected. Safe. Set for life. You deserve everything, Rochelle. Every beautiful thing this world has to offer. I'm sorry I couldn't be there to see you shine, but I'll be watching from wherever I am. Proud. So proud. Take care of yourself, my love. Live the life we always dreamed about. You're free now. Finally free. All my love, forever and always, Darnell. I read the letter 3 times before the tears came. Darnell had known. He'd known he was dying, and instead of rage or fear or despair, he'd spent his last months protecting me, building me a future, setting a trap for the people who'd tried to destroy us. He asked me not to tell you, Walter said quietly. Said you'd blame yourself. Said you'd spend the whole year trying to save him instead of letting him save you. He was right, I whispered. I would have. Over the next week, I learned what happened to Dorothy and Tamika. The banks seized the house. Sold it at auction for less than the mortgage. Seized the construction company assets. Sold the equipment. Liquidated everything. Dorothy moved into a 1-bedroom apartment in a rough part of town. Tamika moved in with her. No cars, no jewelry, no inheritance. Just each other and the debt they'd never be able to repay. Sister Evelyn called me. I'd finally told her where I was, what had happened. She was the only one from my old life who knew the truth. Baby, you doing okay over there? She asked. I'm managing. It's a lot to process. Those 2 women got what was coming to them. The whole church is talking about it. How they threw you out and then lost everything. People are saying it's divine justice. Maybe it is, I said. You coming back to Atlanta anytime soon? I looked around the penthouse, at the life Darnell had built for me, at the future stretching out ahead. No, I said. I don't think so. There's nothing for me there anymore. Well, you take care of yourself. And remember, God don't like ugly. What they did to you came back on them tenfold. After we hung up, I stood at the window looking out over London. This city that Darnell had chosen for me. This life he'd built in secret while I thought we were struggling. I thought about calling Dorothy, offering her something, a small amount to help her get back on her feet. But then I remembered her face when she handed me those garbage bags. Remembered Tamika's laugh. Remembered how small they'd tried to make me feel. No, Darnell had made his choice, and I would honor it. The next morning, I went back to the office. Patricia had prepared my first official CEO briefing. We had properties to acquire in Dubai. A new partnership opportunity in Singapore. Decisions to make? a company to run. Mrs. Davis, Patricia said as we reviewed the proposals. I have to say, Darnell prepared you well. He talked about you constantly, your strength, your intelligence, your kindness. He said you were the smartest person he'd ever met, that you just didn't know it yet. He said that? All the time. He said you'd spent so many years supporting him that you'd forgotten your own brilliance. But he never forgot. That's why he built all this. Not just to protect you, but to free you, to give you the chance to be everything you were always meant to be. I looked down at the proposals, at my name on the letterhead, CEO, Davis International Holdings, at the empire my husband had built with his last breaths. And for the first time since he died, I smiled. A real smile. Because Darnell was right. I was free. Finally free. Free from the people who'd tried to tear me down. Free from the small life they'd wanted for me. Free to be everything I'd never dared to dream. That night, I stood on the penthouse balcony. The London skyline sparkled like diamonds. Somewhere out there, in a one-bedroom apartment in Atlanta, Dorothy and Tamika were probably still trying to figure out what happened, still trying to understand how they'd lost everything while I gained the world. They'd thought I was weak, thought I was nothing without Darnell, thought they could throw me away like trash. But Darnell knew better. He'd always known. I wasn't weak. I'd just been sleeping. And now I was awake. I raised my glass to the London sky, to Darnell. To the man who'd loved me enough to spend his last months building me a kingdom, to the husband who'd set me free. Thank you, baby, I whispered. I'll make you proud. And somewhere, I knew he was smiling. That's the end of this story. If it touched your heart, please leave a like and subscribe. Have you experienced something similar? Share your story in the comments below.